All right, episode XXX of the TJ Martino podcast is here. I'm happy for episode 30 here. This is a fun one. I did a little social media impromptu Q&A where I basically just asked all you listening out there to submit questions. I know I could have done this a little bit more in a prepared manner and maybe proposed this on the last episode, but I didn't know I was going to do it until like a couple days ago, but I figured why not? Why not do a little Q&A? I've never done one actually on this show before, so I figured I'd do a short one. We'll see how long this goes for. And but thanks again for everybody listening for these 30 episodes and beyond. For those of you in the future listening, thanks for joining. And I'm going to be doing more of these Q&As moving forward for sure as we go. But maybe at episode 40 or 50 or 100, who knows? I'll be 100. I'm going to do something crazy. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. We'll see where I'm at. But 30. I'm just happy to be at 30. I'm happy to be at 30. It's a little hard for a lot of podcasts and a lot of things in general sometimes to be sustainable. So it's nice. I want to just keep this going. Keep it going. I don't care if I have 1 million listeners or if I have one listener. It's I do this for me. But for people that enjoy it and want to listen, that's what it's here for. So again, thanks to everybody. Seriously, I'm very humbled by all the love I've gotten over the year and a half that I've been doing this. And thanks to everybody that's come on and for everybody that's coming on. I got some fun people coming up here that I've been talking to. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, why don't we get into some of these questions? I didn't actually write down who asked me these. I just kind of copied and pasted them all into a big document. So here, I'll read them off the screen here. First question, it says, has social media had a negative or positive impact on society? I think it's a little bit of both. It's a mix. That's kind of one that's it's hard to say, that it's had a straight up 100% negative or a straight up 100% positive, impact. So I think, I guess I could just break down, since that answer is kind of boring, I'll break it down on the positives and the negatives of it. The positives being the access of information, I think is the biggest one for me. It's so easy to get to valuable information, and that's hard nowadays when you get a lot of information that you have to sift through and get the goods out of. Social media, there's a lot of people out there that do a good job of breaking information down into a more consumable format, and I think social media does a great job of that. Also, the connectiveness of it, you can really meet, there's people that you can meet just straight off social media. I mean, I guess, for example, I used to meet a lot of people just on, Halo or Call of Duty back in the day, or video games, and you would meet people online. It's kind of the same thing. I'd have friends that I didn't even know personally, but just knew through social media. And that's something that, you couldn't really get in the past, outside of, writing letters or calling somebody or whatever. But social media just kind of gives you a different way to express yourself more than anything. So I think that's totally something that's been really positive for it. And like I said, there's a lot of funny memes, a lot of funny trends. It's a great way to get tapped into culture. It's a great window into culture. It's literally, that's what it is. It's a window into culture, a lot of these applications. So that's a positive. But as for the negatives, where do you start? First of all, I would say for the negatives is the overall, toxicity of humanity that comes through in social media. For example, trolls and, evil people that'll just spend all their day on social media ruining other people's lives, and not even necessarily ruining lives, but just, insulting, degrading, labeling pretty much everybody. So it's a rocky road out there. It's the wild, wild west. It always has been. The internet has always been the wild, wild west for a lot of things because it's harder to police than the real world is at this point because, the internet is pretty limitless as far as access, up to a certain point. But with that, there's so many dark corners of of which social media is used. Everything from, like I said, bullying to harassment to stalking to organized crime to drug dealing to, everything, all of it. So, there's you can pretty much commit a lot of crime on these platforms. There's people that organize, violent events on Facebook and on Twitter and, all that. And that stuff that was, people still found a way back even in the old days to do that kind of stuff. But now it's just become a lot more accessible and easier to find people. And, with that, a positive and a negative aspect would be finding people that, you relate to. Because, it's a positive aspect because, you can join a lot of great communities, but with that, you can also join really bad communities through these social media platforms. So I don't know if that answers the question or not, but yeah, I think, you know what? I think that does. That's good enough for me. What's your favorite snack? I will say my favorite snack is probably, that's hard. I really like cereal. I mean, that's not really a snack. I kind of eat it like a snack, though. I don't eat cereal like breakfast. I eat cereal at all different times of the day except for breakfast because I'm not a breakfast guy. Yikes. But, that would probably be it. And as for cereal, probably Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's probably my favorite cereal as for snacks. And candy, I guess, could count as a snack, too. And so for that, definitely... peanut M&Ms would be the candy of my choice for sure. So, and chips. So I guess I'm just going down the whole snack line for you. So here's a few of my favorite snacks. Chips. I like Garden Salsa Lay's, or I'm sorry, Sun Chips. Garden Salsa Sun Chips are the absolute move. Absolute best chips you can get on the market. Used to get a Subway footlong sandwich freshman year of college. Subway footlong sandwich, a bag of Sun Chips Garden Salsa after class. That was a move. That was a big time move. So yeah, snacks. The thing is, I'm not a big snacker. If I'm being honest, I'm not a huge snacker. I don't eat a lot of. I guess I've been kind of snacking a lot lately. And I know I talked about losing weight a couple months ago, but I actually did lose a little bit of weight because I wasn't snacking as much. But now I'm kind of putting a little bit more weight on. Yikes. Through November and December. Thanksgiving did me dirty, along with some other days in November and in October. So I need to get back on track. It's just the weather got cold here. I mean, there's snow outside right now. So... I got to get back on the grind. So that's an update on that. But as for snacks and why I'm not a snacker, it's just kind of useful. It used to be useless calories, but now that I'm like kind of in the snack grind, it's always a move. Especially when you don't want to eat a full meal and there's like a big chunk of time, like 2 or 3 hours in between a meal and it's in between your meal and you being hungry. And you're like, hey, maybe I can sneak in a little snack, and be able to not have a stomach growl until dinner. But yeah, snacks though for me, not that much. Next one. What will be some permanent changes that arise from COVID-19? Probably, I don't know. It's a good question. I think we're going to see a lot more hand sanitizer, public hand sanitizer dispensers filled. That's for sure. I mean, this was a current bothering of mine when I did that horrible segment with Alex a year ago. and I was talking about how they didn't have the right hand sanitizer, so I would go up there and this dispenser would be empty. And I'm just like, why even have this up here if you're not going to have hand sanitizer in it? Like, and it happened way too many times, especially on OSU's campus. It happened a lot. It happened, at Chipotle. I remember it happened a couple of times there. So, it's definitely an issue. But we'll have to see what happens with it. But I think with COVID, it's going to be a lot more hand sanitizer in those dispensers than, there ever would have been before. And I think that's the thing. It's going to be overall cleanliness. People are going to be a lot more inclined to stay clean, which is a good thing, honestly. People, from this virus, it's got the psychological damage to the point where people are just inherently going to want to be more clean than they ever have before, which for a lot of you people out there, you smelly people, you need to take a shower. You know who you are. But yeah. So other permanent changes, I don't know. Hopefully they don't get into vaccine mandating or anything like that. Like, I hope it I hope it doesn't go in that direction. But it could. So who knows? But I don't know. I think maybe I hope maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, people just kind of forget about this. Not forget about it, because no one's ever going to forget about it, but you know what I mean? Kind of people by then will just be like, yeah, this was kind of a thing and we got over it. And probably another thing will come in the future. And when it comes, we'll deal with it. That's kind of how we deal with things in the world. We always try and sit there and say oh, we're going to be prepared for this and prepared for that and yada, yada. And yeah, you can definitely have, contingency plans for those kind of events. But at the end of the day, you're kind of at the will of nature. And, in the, that's to say for all natural disasters, which I guess this virus kind of falls under that umbrella. I would say that you're kind of at the will of nature, and you can only kind of do what you can do, and, so I hope they kind of come to an understanding of that, but we'll have to see. What inspired you to start your podcast? Other podcasts. Seriously, I like to talk a lot, and I always kind of wanted to have some sort of a diary of some sort, but I don't like to write or type. So I figured, why not do this? And I don't know. It's kind of the fad, right? Well, it wasn't really that much of a fad. It was only kind of really starting to pick up mainstream speed, within the last couple of years. So we'll have to see what happens with it. But, I'm talking about for the podcast, but, what inspired me to start? Like I said, other podcasts, just people I listen to. I was like, I can do this. If other people can do this, I can do this. So, that's just kind of was my logic in the whole thing, was just if anybody else can do this, why can't I? All I need is a microphone and a camera, and I can do it. So I did it. And, I budgeted out the money. I made some investments in some gear, and I started the thing. It's really that simple. Just jump in. Let's see. What would your advice to someone who feels like they're stuck in limbo right now? Oh, what would your advice be to someone who feels like they're stuck in limbo right now? Stuck in limbo. So I'm assuming that means you're kind of deciding what you want to do with your life. I would say find a side hustle. Find a side hustle. A side hustle is, I think it's kind of an important, it's a kind of an important, unknown thing in America, but I think it's kind of a hidden gem that a lot of people should kind of tap into in this country because of, the entrepreneurial opportunities in this country. I think people should just kind of dive into whatever kind of passion you want. I think this is a great time to master your craft. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now with the podcast. I'm starting to kind of try and pick up the episodes and do more and more and more moving forward here. And I think that's just kind of the thing. I want to master my craft. So that's what I would say. I would say find something that you love. And even if you're not making any money on it, master it. Become really good at it. And then have, obviously, as for jobs and work, find a job. Whatever job you can find, really. That would be just find a job. And then have your side hustle be the thing, you use whatever leftover money you don't use for living to fund. And, your side hustle shouldn't feel like a job. It should feel like, like fun. It should be fun, It should be an activity. That's kind of what it should feel like. So that when you're doing it, you don't, it doesn't feel like you're working. But another thing you should be doing with the side hustle is it should have potential. You should find potential to make money in any way you can with it. But don't ever rely on your side hustle, but use it as a means of not only entertainment and fun, but also as a means of a backup plan. And not necessarily even a backup plan, but more of just like a backup in general. Something to take time out of your day. It could be that simple. Something to invest in. Something to grow. It could be any of those things. Something to, invent. So, find that side hustle. And, the criteria really is something you like, something you're interested in, something you want to do. Find a way to make money doing it. That's really the American dream in a nutshell, is find something you love and look for a way you can make money doing it. And and I'm not saying that this podcast for me personally, it's a side hustle, but at the same time, it could become a real hustle. I don't know. Maybe it won't. And I don't care either way. I obviously am using this as something that I enjoyed doing first. It's never going to be for me a job. This will never be a job for me, is what I'm saying. Jobs are one thing for me, and activities are another. And maybe this one day could become a job, but right now it isn't. I'm not making any money right now doing this. So it's not technically a job yet. But even if it is, I wouldn't like, I wouldn't like it any less if it was, is what I'm saying. And so I guess that's my advice. If you're stuck in limbo, find a side hustle, find something to be passionate about, and use your free time, whatever free time you have, and whatever free money you have to grow it, and know that you have potential. And even if it doesn't work out, it's something you can enjoy doing or enjoy having just as a hobby. It doesn't even necessarily have to be, super profitable. You don't have to reinvent, you don't have to invent a new car or a new wheel just to make the money. You got to do it because you like to do it and because it's fun to you and because it's interesting to you. So that's my advice in that regard. Who has been your favorite or most interesting guest so far? That's a really good one. I don't know. Most interesting guest. I would say Evan was probably one of my favorites. Evie was one of my favorites. Episode 13. I really liked that one. That was before the video days. I think the most recent episode I did with Max Hensler was a really good conversation. It was a long, I like doing those long, drawn out, straight up conversations. Those are some of my favorite episodes that I've done. And I've kind of, turned this show more in that direction, and kept more of the segments for when I'm here by myself, because then I can, do all of that, the segments, and experiment a little bit as I've done, and some of them have failed. I tried cereal reviews. Going back to cereal, as I was talking about earlier, I did cereal reviews. I tried it on a failed take of an episode a couple months ago, and it was really bad. I watched it, and it was about as cringy and awful and disgusting as you could have ever imagined. I deleted the video. It's gone, so sadly. We'll never see the cereal review again, but it was bad. But, like I'm saying, like, just me being able to sit here and talk to, by myself allows me to kind of tap into more of the segments and things I want to talk about, which, is nice because then I can get my 2 cents out to the world. And then when I do, episodes with guests and people on, then I can kind of default the conversation to them and play off them more. So that's kind of a rant from my favorite guest, because I don't really have a favorite. I think every new episode I do is better than the one I did before. That's kind of how I've been feeling. And I mean, I guess that's just because of the production value of it is increasing slowly as I'm getting more and more of a grasp on what I need to do as far as editing and timing and everything. It's kind of a struggle, and it's kind of a race against myself, because I as soon as I hit stop on the recording, I want to officially get it up, so. And then I go home and realize I have a huge process that I have to, embark on before I can even get to that point of getting it up. But it is pretty gratifying getting it up there. But then I got to do all the social media promotion and all of that. But, like I said, it's just a part of it, just a part of the grind. And, like I said, I enjoy doing it. And, obviously, it's I'm gonna have some more fun guests coming on. I got some interesting personalities lined up, and I hope to get some more and more prestigious guests on as I go. I just got to get some more clout. All right. Why do we use Roman numerals in your episode titles? Okay, I like this one. I don't know. I mean, there's not really that interesting of an answer, honestly. It's I just like the question. I think it just looks cool. Nobody uses Roman numerals anymore. That's kind of another thing. Like, I feel like they're kind of an underappreciated aspect of numbering. Nobody uses it anymore. Everybody just uses numbers or tally marks or other stuff. They don't use Roman numerals anymore. So I kind of want to make it unique. And I'm never going to switch off Roman numerals. So whatever that episode is, you're going to have to look up the Roman numerals. As we go deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, there's going to be more and more crazy Roman numerals. It'll be like the Super Bowl. Every episode's like the Super Bowl. That's the reason. That's the real reason I do it. Every episode is like the Super Bowl. There's no real symbolic reason other than I think it looks cool. How do I start a podcast? It's very simple. You get a microphone, you get a mixer, you get a camera, and you get a computer. And you put it all together, you hit record, and you talk. And then you hit stop. Who would be your dream guest for your podcast? Alive, I would say Dan Carlin of Hardcore History, and dead, I would say Patrice O'Neal. Guilty pleasure movie or TV show? Oh, okay. So guilty pleasure movie, and I'll do movie and TV show. movie, my guilty pleasure movie would be, I have so many. I'm trying to think of like a one that nobody's like thought of, because I have so many. I've seen so many awful ones. I feel like there's a really obvious one that I'm just missing. Scary Movie 2 would be up there. I absolutely love that movie. And yes, it is horrible, but I absolutely love it. I don't even know. That's a really good question. As for TV shows, I mean, I do know, but I can't think off the top of my head. I'll do a list of that. I'm going to do like top 5 guilty pleasure movies. I need to start doing more top 5s and top 10s. That's something that's going to be coming up here very soon. I need to start doing more of that because I like to do them. But TV show, I would do Eric Andre's show, What We Do in the Shadows, Nathan For You. Well, those are all just good comedy shows, but they're kind of guilty pleasures because Eric Andre's show, especially because that's not everybody's cup of tea. That's a wacky show. PlayStation or Xbox? Actually, I have PlayStation 4, but I had an Xbox 360, so I would say I prefer PlayStation, but I'm not getting actually either of the new consoles. I'm stepping out of the console game. I think I'm done with gaming. Sadly, I'm not a good gamer. That's really it. I don't think I'm gonna get the PS5 or the Xbox, the new Xbox. I'm not gonna get either of them. I don't know. I don't game very much, and if I do, I'll get a PC gaming because I think that's like kind of the direction a lot of people are going in. So I'm thinking about that, but even so, I might not even mess with that. I might just, take a break from gaming and get into other stuff that I like to do. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have an explanation for it other than I'm just kind of too busy to sit around and play video games now. Personally, for those of you that love them, please continue to enjoy them. I have been playing a lot of UFC 4 though, and yeah, it's okay. The story mode is a little hollow. It's a little bare bones for my cup of tea. Excuse me, propel brake. But yeah. So as for gaming though, maybe I might do a gaming thing. I don't know. I feel like everybody does that kind of thing. It's kind of gimmicky, and I'm not a good gamer. Like that's the thing. That's why I've never streamed, because nobody would watch me play. I'm so bad. Nobody would watch me game. So that's why I've never streamed, and that's probably why I never will. But I might do live stream, just me rambling in the future, reading, stuff. I don't know. That's not out of the question. But as for actual, streaming of games, you're not going to get much of that from me. I apologize for that. I'm, maybe down the road. I'll never say never. But PlayStation would be my answer to that question. Where do you see the podcast in 5 years? I see it hopefully on a real television network. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I hope I have more fans than I do now. But even if I don't care. I don't know. Hopefully I'm at like, I bet I'm at like episode 1,000 by then. Hopefully. I don't know. At this rate, I'd probably be at like episode 100. But, yeah, I don't know. I think, cause I don't know. I think this podcast is going to go to the moon. Hopefully I have an episode from the moon by then. If human travel to the moon becomes pretty accessible by then, that's going to be a goal. I want to be the first person to record a podcast on the moon. Even though Neil Armstrong technically did that when he dispatched through his headset back down to Houston in 1969, but still, I want to be the first one to do it for real, like, with real cameras, not from Stanley Kubrick. Here is a funny one. Provide the exact score for the next 12 Super Bowls. Okay. This Super Bowl, it's going to be between the Chiefs and the Seahawks. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Chiefs are going to win by 2 touchdowns. The next one is going to be Packers versus Ravens next year, and Ravens are going to win by 2 touchdowns. Then for the 2022 Super Bowl, it's going to be Ravens again. They lose to the Niners this time. And then the one after that, I don't even know. The stupid question, Bennett. I know Bennett sent that one. I remember. Who is your podcast host inspiration, if you have one? Yeah, I actually do. I have a few. These are just kind of podcasts I like to listen to, and personalities that I like to listen to. Of course, the pioneer, Joe Rogan. I actually didn't get into Joe Rogan until like I was already a half a year into my podcast. So I had actually started my podcast before I had actually listened to any episodes of Joe Rogan. So that's a fun fact for you. So I'm actually a new Joe Rogan listener, and I don't listen to I'm not like the biggest fan of Joe Rogan. Like I don't listen to every single thing he's ever done, but when I do listen, I listen more for studying. I study how he asks questions, how he continues conversations, how he continues to be spontaneous, like those kind of things. How he handles different guests. That's the kind of stuff I pay attention to when I listen to a Joe Rogan show more than the content, because and I'm not saying that his content's not good, because it's amazing, but I get more out of it than I watch it from a different perspective than the typical viewer would, is what I'm trying to say, I guess. So I would say him. I really like Andrew Schultz. Like I said, Dan Carlin, big fan of his. Lex Friedman's really good. What's his name? Theo Vaughn, I really like. He's funny. I like Matt Nost. I like TJ Martino. JJ Redick. Nate Duncan and Danny LaRue and Dunked On podcast. It's a really good basketball podcast. Highly recommend. So I have a lot, but what I guess I draw from a lot of these people is just how to run a show, because it's a lot harder than it looks, especially when you're talking to yourself. It's a lot easier when you have someone to bounce off of, but even then, sometimes, especially with somebody that isn't really that familiar with what you're doing, you kind of have to hold their hand, especially for the first 5 minutes. You got to kind of hold people's hand, and then after that, they're off, and they're usually, they know exactly, you kind of blend into it, and you don't even feel like you're in an episode. You don't feel like you're in front of a microphone. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I would say I would like to get out of Ohio. I've said this, but within the next 5 years, within the next few months, I would like to get out of Ohio. Personally, I want to go move somewhere else. I've lived in Ohio my whole life, born and raised here. I think it's time I get out there and, get out there and see the world. And I lived in Columbus for a couple of years. I get that. So, it's a little bit of a different scene, but I want to go live in a different state. I want to go live somewhere warm or somewhere on the East Coast or somewhere out west. I don't know yet, but somewhere else in America I want to live. I haven't decided yet where exactly that will be. But in the next 5 years, I don't know. I want to have my own place by then, hopefully. Maybe in my own house, in my own studio. That's what I'd like. Because, I mean, this is kind of a studio, but it's more, it works. I like it. How do you define success? Oh, success for me would probably be just, like I said, it kind of is a build off of what I've talked about already, which would be just to honestly achieve enough financial security that, you don't have to worry about feeding the kids or paying the bills or whatever, but, you can afford to do things you want to do. And then I would say, along with that, is just straight up waking up every day and not hating yourself. That's what I would design as success. It's really that simple. Like, just waking up and enjoying life, You're only here for a very finite amount of time if you really think about human history. We've been around for 250,000 years, and we're only alive for a very small snapshot of it. So I want to make it last. So that's what I would say success is just waking up and being happy. That's really all you need. The money, the fame, all that. That stuff is just stuff, to work towards, but it doesn't really make you successful or less successful. And it doesn't really matter what other people define as success. It really is what you think success is. That's what success is what you determine it is. Whatever you feel makes you feel accomplished. So, I mean, get up and don't hate yourself, and that's pretty much all you need to do. Describe a perfect date night. Not going to the movies, actually, and that's interesting because I bet that's interesting to hear because I am not, because I love going to the movies so much, but, don't take your girl to the movies. You won't be able to talk to her. I would, and don't get food either. Don't go to food because don't take them out to dinner either. It's not what you want to do because then you're too focused on your food. They're too focused on their food. They're looking at the menu. They're not paying attention to you. You got to take them, go out for coffee or for drinks or for some sort of activity. Something that can create memories. Because that's the kind of stuff that girls like dwell on, is the experiences and the feelings that they, get from, those kind of activities. So I would recommend to you fellas out there, do activities with your girl. And that's how you'll find out if you like them or not, if they're fun or not. And that's how they'll find out if you're fun or not. And you'll be able to tell what they think, from those kind of experiences. Tell what kind of chemistry you have. So, I would say that's probably the perfect date night would be, to take them out, I would say go out like putt golfing. Well, that's kind of, I don't know, that's kind of lame, but maybe it could be fun. I kind of like putt golfing. I was really good at it. So I would say do that or, I don't know, some sort of activity. But just don't take any pictures of her for her Instagram. What is your biggest fear? Bees. Bumblebees are my biggest fear. I think I got them all. I think that's it. But thanks to all the people that submitted questions. I'm going to do this again sometime in the future. And hopefully I'll be able to organize it better when I do it. Because I literally just went through and copied and pasted line by line, like each of them as they were kind of coming in. So, they're all just kind of in a big document. But I don't even think I got through all of them. Yeah, there's still a couple more, but I think that's good enough. But yeah, thanks again to everybody that sent questions. And thanks to everybody that's been watching and listening. Thanks to everybody on the YouTubes, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the Twitters. I got a lot more stuff coming for real. I got a few more guests coming. I got a lot of heat coming in the kitchen. God, I'm going to look back on that like 20 years from now and just cringe. But yeah, like I said, I got the new studio. I love it. I love it in here. It's working pretty well. But yeah, I want to kind of get a studio where I can kind of decorate, because this is a conference room that I'm using as a studio. But it works really well for what I'm doing right now. But I want to eventually, what I meant by have my own studios down the road, get a studio that I can decorate and put, stuff. Because this blank white wall, yeah, it's a little bland, but it makes thumbnails a lot easier to make, I will say. Yeah, and but yeah, I got a lot more stuff coming. I got guests coming. I got fun guests coming. So December is gonna be a fun month. That's why I wanted to get it going and start the month off with some with a little Q&A, a little window inside my life, as if you don't get enough of that already. But yeah, I mean, another thing I want to talk about real quick is the Eagles. I think it's time I talk about them. Monday night, I had to sit through that absolute disaster of a football game when it came to offensive play calling from my man Doug Peterson. I mean, the Eagles, what the heck, man? What the heck are you doing? Seriously. Like, ugh. So I didn't have that many expectations for Monday night's game, if I'm being completely honest. I had pretty low expectations. The bar was right about here, on the whole thing. I wasn't really expecting much because of how horrendous the Eagles have been this season. I mean, they have been terrible, man, just terrible. From the inability of our receivers to beat anyone off the line, to the offensive line being beaten, battered, and bludgeoned, to the point where Lane Johnson tapped out for the year. Brandon Brooks didn't even have a year. Jason Peters has been moving around from tackle to guard because we don't know what to do. We're moving guys up from the practice squad. It's just typical Eagles personnel disasters. But honestly, the defense wasn't that bad last night. Or I'm sorry, Monday night. It wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. And I'm shocked by that because I was thinking this team was going to absolutely destroy us. I mean, running quarterbacks are usually a kryptonite for the Eagles defense in years past, going back to the Joe Webb days of that absolute dumpster fire of a game against the Vikings that I think lost us a playoff spot. But, so the running quarterback has always been an issue for us, going back to that. So I think we actually did a really good job of containing Russell Wilson on Monday. It was actually a really, really good work. Derek Barnett obviously I think he had a forced fumble and a sack. I mean, he was really excellent. Brandon Graham was getting great pressure. Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson, I think, had the best game of his Eagles career Monday night. The defensive line and the linebackers showed up. Singleton made a really good play. I think on that goal line stand early in the game, that was a really, really interesting moment. But the offense was just absolutely disgusting. I mean, disgusting. They didn't get a first down until 4:42 in the second quarter. That's how long it took them. I mean, it's just been disgusting. I don't know what else to say but that. I mean, Doug Peterson's play calling has been horrendous all season long. All season long. The offensive line, the schemes are not working. We've had too many guys injured, and we can't run the ball. Miles Sanders is probably the best offensive player on our team, and he had 6 carries last night. That's it. 6 touches. What are we doing? And Boston Scott, I think, had like 2 or 3 carries. Like, I think we ran the ball less than 10 times the other night. Seriously, I think we seriously did. And it's annoying because, it's really, we have such good talent and our schemes work so well. And at moments earlier in the season, Miles was running the ball really well. I mean, he was averaging almost 7 yards a carry at one point this season. And now it's like he got nothing. And the Doug's throwing it 50 times a game. Carson Wentz is the worst statistical quarterback in the league, and we're throwing it 50 times a game. I mean, what are you going to do? It's really disgusting how much they don't care about their fans and this team. I mean, but really, I can't be that upset. Like, it's the COVID year, and that's why it's like I'm more concerned for the future than I am right now, because this season, honestly, if the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I'd obviously be happy, but at the same time, it's the COVID year. There's no fans. That's the thing I watched last night, and I was just like, if there's gonna be a year where we completely crap the bed, I'm not that upset with it being this year. So I don't think we should get rid of Carson Wentz. I mean, I know the big storyline going into Monday night was Jalen Hurts. Will Jalen Hurts get into the game? And I'm like, no, don't put him in. I'm one of the people that think that we should ride with Carson, because I think people are just too hungry to win this season. This season, I'm just kind of counting as a wash, honestly, personally. Like, seriously. And I went to the Bengals game the other day, and that's kind of what's made me become so pessimistic about it, was how I just looked around the stadium, and there was like only a couple thousand people in the stadium, and I was just like, this is so whack. I'm like, honestly, like, I'm happy both these teams suck this year. Like, if they're going to suck, I'm fine with it being this year. I'm more concerned now with the future of that. And that's what I'm feeling about with the Eagles at this point. Like, I'm more concerned with the future, because the present, they suck. What do you want me to say? Like, all my friends are trying to expect me to defend the Eagles, and they're coming at me with the smoke. And I'm like, you guys are right. I can't even argue with you. Like, I can't even mount an argument, because the Eagles are so incompetent, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey, what the hell? What is he even on the team for at this point? I mean, he had his first catch of the season yesterday. I mean, come on. This is a joke, man. This team is a joke. Like, people are laughing at how bad the Eagles are this year, because they are. They're so sorry. And the defense wasn't that bad yesterday. They looked kind of good. Outside of Darius Slay, who, glad we paid him millions of dollars to get absolutely roasted on primetime football. Glad we paid him all that money. He's turning into Namni Asamoah 2.0, and I kind of warned about this when we signed him, but here we are. But I haven't given up on Darius Slay. I think he's a good player. We'll see what happens with him. But he looked really bad last night. He had a really bad penalty, and he did play good coverage on that one deep ball, but Metcalf. And talk about DK Metcalf for a moment. I mean, holy crap. The dude absolutely dominated us. He had 10 catches for like 150 yards, and literally we deserved every single catch and every single yard of DK Metcalf his entire career at this point. This game and beyond, we deserve every single thing he does to us because of Howie Roseman passing on DK Metcalf to draft JJ Arcega-Whiteside, who has caught maybe 3 passes in his Eagles career. One of them was a 4th down and 5, I think, earlier this season. I think it was in the 49ers game, if I'm not mistaken. But he caught that ball, but that was like the only good ball that Arcega-Whiteside has caught in his entire career. And DK Metcalf is one of the best receivers in football right now. So, yeah, we can pretty much, take that one to the chest, because that's, that one we totally deserve. But that kind of leads me to my point. about the Eagles. This and kind of my mood at this point and where do I think they should go, because we're kind of at a crossroads right now. Like, what we're doing right now is straight up not working. It's straight up not working. So we have to get to a point now where we got to decide, like, what's it going to be? Is it going to be, are we sticking with this plan, with the Dougie Peterson, Howie Roseman plan that won us one ring and hasn't, but we've seen a significant decline since? Or are we going to try something new? And that's kind of the crossroad we're at. But where do I think we should go? As for Jalen Hurts, I thought it was idiotic for him to come in for one play. I thought it was an idiotic draft pick at the time. I still do. I like him as a player, but I just don't understand the pick in the second round. I think they could have gotten him in the third, but that's besides the point. Howie Roseman has been making decisions for this team over the past few years that are not working out. They're not benefiting this team at all. I mean, like I said, with Jalen Hurts, like, what is the point of this player in the second round? And then obviously the DK Metcalf and Arthega Whiteside draft pick. I mean, the guy is horrendous. Matt Collins, terrible pick. Jalen Reagor, we missed Justin Jefferson. He was a significantly better player, and we purposely picked Reagor over him. Eat our words there. I mean, it's bad move after bad move after bad move. I mean, seriously. And then they turn around and wonder why we're losing football games. Look at the personnel on the field. Everybody's injured that's worth a damn on this team. Zach Ertz is injured. Brandon Brooks. Lane Johnson. So those are three all-pro talents out of the game, out of the season. And Goddard actually had a really good game yesterday. He's definitely the best receiver. These receivers are awful. So it's just, the team is really bad from top to bottom. I mean, outside of a few players, Fletcher Cox and, Jason Kelsey and, and Miles Sanders. And even he had a bad fumble a week ago. He's fumbled the ball a couple times this season. So even he hasn't been that great. So, it's something, man. I don't know, man, with this Eagles team. I really don't. Where do I think they should go, though? Howie Roseman, I think he's got to go. I think Howie Roseman has got to go. I think, I just think it's time that we move on with a new GM and a new direction. And I think we should keep Carson. Carson has proven he can win football games. He has. And he's having a bad year. I understand that. But I don't think it's time to just completely throw him out. Let's just take a deep breath here. Throw this season in the trash can and come back maybe ready for next season when everybody, recuperates. And I think we go in a new direction. We get a new GM. And as for Doug Peterson, I think he may have to go too. I'm serious. Like I'm really fed up with this team right now, and the way it's being run, and the complacency of Doug Peterson is very alarming, and how he's pretty much said the other day in an interview that he doesn't care whether or not he's on the team, if they fire him or not. He's not really concerned with whether or not they fire him, and he hasn't been guaranteed his job. So I think Peterson's going to be gone, especially if they suck this year. I think he's going to be gone. And I think that's probably the smart decision because, this team sucks. What are they, 3-7-1? I mean, what are you going to do with that? You're not going to the playoffs with that, even in this awful division. But, I think that this team just needs to go in a new direction. I think we need to load up on draft capital or trade for assets that can help this team, in the defensive back department, but mostly in the offensive department. That's where this team really struggles. I mean, I'm sorry, not defensive back. I meant linebacker. But honestly, I think it's the offensive line and the receiver core, again, that are the biggest Achilles heels of this team right now, especially this offensive line. I mean, it's been really bad this year. It's been really bad. We've had a lot of banged up guys in the trenches, and that's where you win these games, man. You win them in the trenches. The offense and defensive line. I know. I used to play. I was a goat back in the day. Just kidding. It was terrible. Not the athlete, but but like I'm saying, the whole offense and defensive line, that's where you win the games. And at the end of the day, getting a good push off the offensive line sets up the run. And then when you get the run going, you set up the pass and the play action, and then you can start getting, experimental. But you gotta establish, a presence, and you do that. It starts at the offensive line. So when those guys are beaten and battered and inexperienced and slow and old in some cases, then they're just bound to get pushed off the line of scrimmage. And Carson Wentz is bound to be the highest sack quarterback in the NFL. And that's why I don't necessarily blame Carson that much this season. I do, because he's made some horrendous reads, especially in that red zone play where he threw the interception. That was terrible. And Jalen Reagor was wide open on that play, by the way. But, it just bad reads. He's made bad reads, but I think it's just because he's been panicked. He feels like someone's going to hit him every 2 seconds because they are. He's getting sacked multiple times. Drives are getting ripped apart. Like I mentioned earlier with Jalen Hurts, he comes in. I'm like, okay, they're really going to do the Hurts thing, and then he goes out the next play, and I'm like, okay, what the hell was the point of that? I'm like, this, because I had mentioned in a tweet, I was like, is this really going to be a series by series thing where they just throw Wentz in and then Hurts and then Wentz and then Hurts and then Wentz and then Hurts? But it really became more of just Wentz the entire game and Hurts for one play, because they put Hurts in, he completes the first pass of the game, and then they bring him out. And it's like, okay, well, what are we doing here? That's the thing. What are we doing? So I think the Eagles need to get a new direction, and whether that means a new coach, new front office, new GM, I think so, but we'll have to leave that up to Jeffrey Lurie. But that's kind of my thoughts on the Eagles season. I think they're kind of screwed. And as for the Bengals, I went to that game. You heard my thoughts on Twitter. There's nothing that needs to be said there. They're a corpse at this point. But yeah, that's football talk for the week. But thanks guys for listening to today's episode. I don't know. I wasn't really planning on talking more, but why not? I got the airtime, so I might as well. But yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for sitting here for the Q&A. And I can't wait to do this again. In the future, hopefully I can get some more personal, hypothetical, any type of questions. That's the thing. When I do this again, I got to be more specific, I guess, with what I want. Because I'm not saying I liked all these questions, but I think literally ask me anything. That's what I want. I don't really want anything in particular. I just want anything, whether that's a hypothetical question, whether that's a relationship question. You got problems with your girlfriend, hit me up. I'm the Oracle. You got problems, with your boys, with your girls. You got a problem with your kids. I can maybe help with that. Sports questions, life questions, food questions. Anything, politics, anything. I can answer it for you. That's what I'm here for. So, I think I'm going to call these, I'll figure out a name for them, but, I want to name this Q&A session something. I want to start giving all this stuff names, like little segment names. So I'll think of something for that. But, just like Hollow Prep, even though I crapped that one. Apologize for that one, people. Next year, Hollow Prep 2021 is going to be, it's going to be the most electric Hollow Prep of all time, because it's going to be like the first one that I can actually plan out. Because I kind of did it impromptu this year, because I was like, oh, shoot, it's October, Halloween's coming up. And then, I decided let's make a Hollow Prep. because I wanted to review Halloween movies, and I kind of failed in that department. I did Human Centipede and one other one. Oh, Lights Out. But yeah, if I'm being honest, I just got sucked up in the elections and started picking up more hours and working more. So it's kind of my excuse. It's not really a good one, but it is what it is. But I'll be back. Well, I am back, but I'm going to be, trying to fulfill a lot of these segments. But a lot of them are going to flop. I'm just warning you. I'm warning you. They're going to flop. I'm going to have segments that don't return. I'm going to have ones that do return. I'm probably going to do another hypotheticals episode at some point. I'm probably going to do, like I said, more stuff, more top 10s in the future. More organization. And these solo podcasts will be more of me, just kind of, they'll be more organized, it'll be more segment oriented. So there'll be more organized thoughts and rants and reviews and discussions with the ether. And the ones with guests will be more, more conversational with segments pumped into them as I please. But yeah, this show is just going to continue to grow. I want to continue to get bigger. I want to continue to keep pushing the envelope. So please share this with anybody that you find could get value from it. And share the snippets too. If you find a snippet that your friend might like, send it to him. Say, hey, here's a little snippet for you. Here's a little snippet. Then you go down in the description. Boom, there's a link for the full experience. So seriously, send the snippets. You gotta, like I said, find one that you find, reliable, likable, funny, interesting, and send it to somebody. And also continue to comment, subscribe, like all that YouTube crap. And do the 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts as well. That's always a good thing. And write a review too. When you do the 5-star rating, write a little review. Write me something. Write me a little letter that I can read someday. Tell me about your life down in that little section. But yeah, also tweet me, #TJPOD. Hit me up. You know the deal. But thanks for listening, everybody. Seriously, 30 episodes in, and I can't wait to continue moving forward into the 30s. And like I said, this month of December is going to be really fun. In January and February and March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December of 2021 will all be amazing as well. So stay safe out there. Do what you got to do to stay healthy. Keep working hard. Find your side hustle. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for listening. Take care. Like Drake said, take care. Feel good about yourself. Get some rest. Get some work done. Do what you got to do. And I will see you on the next one. And let the beat drop.